everyone, so let's now discuss the case study on unit and batch costing. A very interesting case study, little bit on the lengthier side, right? So we'll go slow, we'll try to interpret it in the right way, that what all interpretations are required. So let's try to understand this case study on unit and batch costing. Arnav Limited operates in the beverages industry where it manufactures the soft drink in three sizes: large 3 liters bottle, medium 1.5 liters bottle, and small 600 ml bottle. The products are processed in batches. The 5000 liters capacity processing plant consumes electricity of 90 kilowatts per hour, and a batch takes 1 hour 45 minutes to complete. Only symmetric size of products can be processed at a time. The machine setup takes 15 minutes to get ready for the next batch processing. During the setup, the power consumption is only 20%. So basically, to process one batch, right? One batch of how many liters? One batch of 5000 liters. Right, in that one batch only one type of a product can be prepared, either the large bottle or the medium bottle or the small size bottle, right? All the bottles cannot be processed in one batch. Secondly, one batch processing time is 1 hour 45 minutes it is given, and the setup time is 15 minutes. 1 hour 45 minutes is what? It is the processing time, and the remaining 15 minutes is the setup time. Okay, now they say the current price of the large, medium and small are 150, 90 and 50 respectively. So this is the selling price of the bottles which is given to you. To produce a liter of beverage, that is for producing 1 liter of a beverage, 14 liters of the raw material W and 25 ml of the material C are required, which cost 0.5 and 1000 per liter respectively. So to manufacture 1 liter of this soft drink, how much of the raw material is required, that is given, and the price of the raw material is given to you. 20 direct workers are required. The workers are paid rupees 880 for a 8 hours shift of work. 880 rupees for 8 hours. Right, that means for one day, for one shift of 8 hours. What they are saying is one shift is equal to 8 hours, and for this they are being paid 880 rupees. The average packing cost per bottle is rupees 3. Okay, the power cost is rupees 7 per kilowatt hour. Other variable cost is rupees 30,000 per batch. For every batch there is a variable cost of 30,000 rupees. Fixed cost, administrative and marketing is 4 crore 90 lakhs. The holding cost is rupees 1 per bottle per annum. The marketing team has surveyed the following bottle or demand of the product, right? That these many bottles will be the demand in the market. That is what they are anticipating. Large bottle 3 lakhs, medium 7 lakh 50,000 and small 20 lakh bottles will be required. The following information has been sought from you for the purpose of performance: that number of large size bottles that can be processed in a batch. That means in one batch, how many bottles can be processed? Large bottles, right? So we will calculate for large, medium and small. For all the three bottles, we'll calculate that in one batch of 5000 liters, one batch is how much? The capacity is 5000 liters, so that becomes your one batch. How many bottles can be prepared? So first working note you can say we will prepare is for the number of bottles in a batch. Number of bottles in a batch. In one batch, how many bottles you can manufacture, right? So we'll calculate for all the three. We'll calculate for large, medium, and small. Right, how will you calculate, sir? How will you calculate? What is the batch size? 5000. Now this large bottle capacity is how much? 3 liters. This is 3 liters, right? This is 1.5 liters, right? And the small one is 600 ml, that is 0.6 liters, isn't it? Right, now they say if one batch capacity is 5000 liters, so how many bottles you can manufacture for large? How many bottles you can manufacture? How can you calculate, sir? Very simple. That will be 5000 divided by 3. because total batch size is 5000 liters. One bottle is of 3 liters. So how many bottles you can manufacture of 3 liters in a 5000 liters capacity? So that will come to 5000 divided by 3. That comes to 1666. Right? Do not take it in decimals because we are not going to take, we cannot make a bottle in the points, right? So here it will be 5000 divided by 1.5, and here it will be 5000 divided by 0.6 divided by 1.5. That comes to 3333. So 5000 divided by 0.6, that comes to 8333. So these are the number of bottles that you will manufacture, right? That you will be able to manufacture with the given capacity of the size, right? In one batch, you will be able to manufacture these many bottles. So let's see how many bottles of the large size. So for large size, it is 1666. Right? This is in one batch, in a batch, right? In one batch, how many bottles you can manufacture? One batch capacity is 5000 liters. Large bottle is 3 liters. So how many bottles of 3 liters in a 5000 liter capacity of the batch? Now they say the number of batches required to process the medium size bottles. How many batches will be required to process the medium size bottle? Now, how many bottles you need to manufacture? That will depend upon what? How many bottles? Because the number of batches will be dependent upon what? How many bottles you need? And how many bottles you need will depend upon what? That will depend upon this demand, isn't it? So second working note is number of batches required. Second working note that we'll prepare is number of batches required. Number of batches required, right? So this is going to be our second working note, right? Let's see for all the 3 segments we are going to see. We are going to see for large, medium and small. For all the 3 segments we'll see large, medium and small, right? So number of batches will depend upon the number of bottles to be produced, and the number of bottles to be produced is dependent upon what? It is dependent upon the demand of the product. So demand is given to you in the question. Demand is given to you, that what is the demand for all the 3 segments. For large segment it is 3 lakh units. For medium it is 7,50,000 units, and for small it is 20 lakh units, right? This is the demand. Now we have calculated that in one batch how many units or how many bottles you can manufacture, right? This we have calculated. Bottles per batch, right? That comes to 1,666, 3,333 and 8,333. So from here we can calculate batches, number of batches, that 1666 bottles in one batch. So if you need 3 lakh bottles, how many batches will be required? 3,333 bottles you can manufacture in one batch. The demand is 7,50,000 bottles. So how many batches will be required for that, right? So 3 lakh divided by 1,666, that comes to 180 batches. Then 7,50,000 divided by this, that comes to 225 batches. We'll take the round off, okay? 20 lakh divided by 8,333, that comes to 240 batches. So this is the number of batches required. Clear? So let's see the answer here. For the medium size, it is 225 batches, right? So see, the ICAI will play very smartly. They have given you all the answers. They have given you for the small bottle, large bottle also, right? So you have to please tick the right answer very, very carefully. Okay, next one they say material W required for the small size bottles. That is the raw material requirement. Again, the raw material requirement will depend upon what? The number of bottles to be manufactured, and the number of bottles will depend upon what? The demand of the product, right? So this is how the interpretation is to be done. So the third working note we'll prepare. The third working note we'll prepare is on raw material requirement, right? Third will be raw material requirement. Okay, now again raw material requirement we will calculate for all the three, right? We will calculate for large also, we will calculate for medium also, and for small also. Right, for all the three segments we are going to calculate that what is going to be the raw material requirement. And as I am telling you, the raw material requirement is dependent upon what? The number of units to be produced, and number of units produced is dependent upon what? The demand for the product. So we'll start with what? We will start with demand, sir. If it is dependent upon the demand, so we'll start with demand. Large bottles 3 lakh, medium 7,50,000, and small is 20 lakhs. These are bottles. Now see the raw material part, what is given. He said to produce 1 liter of beverage, not 1 bottle of beverage. What they are saying is not 1 bottle, they are saying 1 liter of the beverage. So how many liters will be required here now? Quantity per bottle. What is the quantity per bottle? Quantity per bottle is, for large it is 3, for medium 1.5, and for this 0.6. So what will be the total production? What will be the total production in liters? In liters. Why we are calculating liters? Because the raw material consumption is given in liters here. So this will be 9 lakh liters will be produced. Right, 7,50,000 multiplied by 1.5, that is 11,25,000, and then it will be 12 lakh. Now we will calculate that what is the raw material W required per liter. He says the W required per liter is 14 liters to manufacture 1 liter of the beverage. 14 liters of the raw material W will be required. 14 and 14. So total raw material W required. Total RM required W. So that will be 9 lakh multiplied by 14. That comes to 1 crore 26 lakhs. 1 crore 26 lakhs multiplied by 14. That comes to 1 crore 57 lakh 50,000. And the next one is 12 lakh multiplied by 14. That comes to 1 crore 68 lakhs. Right, so this is the total raw material required, that is raw material W which is required. Similarly, we can calculate for the raw material C also. Right, for every 1 liter what is required is 25 ml. That will be 0.025 liter. Right, so raw material C required, raw material C per liter required is 0.025. 0.025 because it is 25 ml. 25 ml means 25 divided by 1000 is 0.025 liters, because we are going to multiply it with the quantity in the liters. So this quantity should also be in liters, right? So total raw material required, total raw material C required is how much? That will be 9 lakh multiplied by 0.025. That comes to 22,500. 22,500. Then second it comes to 28,125. Then third one comes to 30,000. Right? So this is the requirement of the raw material. This is the quantity required. This is the quantity of the raw material which is required, sir. Fine. Is this clear, everyone? So let's see the third MCQ. Material W required for small size. Material W required for small size is 1 crore 68 lakh liters. So 1 crore 68 lakh liters, option B that we have. Next part, they say calculate the total profit or loss per batch. Total profit or loss per batch. How will you calculate the total profit or loss? That will be what is your sales minus all the cost. Cost will include material cost also, labor cost also, power consumption cost also, packing cost also, other fixed cost also, From sales, you have to subtract all the cost. Now, material cost and all we have calculated. There is another working note that is required to be prepared that will be regarding the labor cost. Now, for labor cost, what they are saying is 20 direct workers are working. Workers are paid rupees 880 for a 8 hours shift, right? So, number of labor shifts we will calculate. We will calculate what will be the number of labor shifts, because the number of labor shifts will be different for each segment, right? So, fourth working note that we'll prepare is number of labor shifts. Okay, number of labor shifts. So we have large, medium, and small. Now, it will depend upon the number of batches that they want to run. So number of batches. First we'll have number of batches. Number of batches we have calculated here. This 180, 225 and 240. For large 180. For this 225, and for this one it is 240, right? Now, what is the hours per batch? For every one batch, how much of the time is required? Read the question very carefully. For every one batch, we need 1 hour 45 minutes of the running time and 15 minutes of the setup time. That is total 2 hours required. Okay, because this is worker. For worker, to the worker we will be paying for 2 hours, right? So hours per batch is 2, 2 and 2. So total hours, total working hours for the worker, 180 multiplied by 2, that is 360. 360, this is 450 and this is 480. Now what is the hours per shift? For every one shift, what is the number of hours? That is 8. So how many shifts will be there for every one worker? Number of shifts will be there. Number of shifts, it will be 45, 57 and 60. This is for one worker. Now, what will be the total number of shifts? We will multiply it with 20 workers, because there are 20 workers who are working. Clear? So total hours per shift for every one worker is 8 hours. So number of shifts. So from here you will calculate your total shifts. Total shifts for 20 workers, that is 45 multiplied by 20, and this is 57 multiplied by 20, this is 60 multiplied by 20, right? So this is 900. 57 multiplied by 20 will be 1140, and this will be 1200. Clear? These are the total number of shifts that we have calculated for which the payment is to be made, right? So number of batches 180, hours per batch, it will be 2 hours. Worker will be working for 2 hours on one batch. So for 180 batches, he'll be working for 360 hours. For in one day, in one shift, how many hours are there? 8 hours. So we calculated the number of shifts for one worker. Then 20 workers are working on the different shifts. So what will be the total shifts for which the payment will be made? For every one shift, the rate is 880 rupees. Another working note, this is regarding the labor. Now, another working note that will be required is regarding the power consumption. Now, regarding the power consumption, read it very carefully what is given. One thing, the power cost is rupees 7 per kilowatt hour. What is the power consumption? He says during the running time is 1 hour 45 minutes. During this 1 hour 45 minutes, the power consumption is how much? The power consumption is 90 kilowatts per hour. Whereas during the setup time of 15 minutes, the power consumption is only 20% of it. That is 18 kilowatt hours, 18 kilowatts per hour during the setup time, right? So the power consumption is to be calculated according to whether it is a processing time or whether it is a setup time, right? So fifth one is power consumption. Fifth one is power consumption. Power consumption for all the three segments, again we will calculate, that is for large, medium and small. Large, medium and small. Right. For this, first we'll take for the processing time. We'll calculate it for the processing time. Now for processing time, First we have to calculate what is the total number of processing hours, and the total number of processing hours will depend upon what? The number of batches, because for every one batch the processing time is 1 hour 45 minutes, right? So into number of batches, that will give me the total processing hours, right? So again I will start here with number of batches. I'll start with number of batches. For large 180, for medium 225, for small 240 batches, right? What is the hours per batch? Hours per batch, that is 1 hour 45 minutes. So be very careful, do not take it 1.45. 1 hour 45 minutes means it is 1.75. 1.75. This is your hours per batch. So that will give you now the total hours. So 180 multiplied by 1.75, that comes to 315. 225 multiplied by 1.75, that comes to 390. 3.75. And 240 multiplied by 1.75, that comes to 420. Clear? Now what is the power consumption per hour? What is the power consumption per hour? Power consumption per hour is 90, 90 and 90 here. So what will be the total power consumption? What will be the total power consumption? That is total hours multiplied by 90 kilowatts per hour. That comes to 28,350 units. 393.75 multiplied by 90, that comes to 35,437.5 units. Then it is 420 multiplied by 90, that comes to 37,800 units. Kilowatt. This is kilowatts, right? This is the kilowatts which is given to you. Is this clear? The power cost. The power cost during the processing time. So it says it is 90 kilowatts per hour. So first we calculate what is the total number of hours for all the batches being manufactured, right? For every one batch, the processing time is 1 hour 45 minutes. That is 1.75. Clear with this? Now the same thing we will do it with the setup time. Same we'll do it with the setup time now. Now setup time again dependent upon number of batches. What is the setup time per batch? What is the setup time per batch? Setup time per batch. It is 15 minutes. So 15 divided by 60 if you do, that comes to 0.25. 0.25. 0.25. Right? So what is the total hours? Total hours. Total hours means per batch setup time multiplied by number of batches. So 180 multiplied by 0.25, that comes to 45. Second one comes to 56.25. Third one comes to 60, right? So what is now the power consumption? Power consumption per hour, that is 20% of 90. 18 kilowatt. Right? So what will be the total power consumption? What will be the total power consumption? That is total hours multiplied by this. So 810, 1012.5 and 1080. Clear? The power consumption is to be calculated for processing time and for setup time separately. Very, very, very important. Right? Is this clear, everyone? Now still we have not got the answer for the part 4, because part 4 is what? The statement of profit and loss. Now profit and loss is what? The sales minus all the cost, right? Okay, so this is your statement of profit and loss. I have already prepared it. Now I'll explain this statement of profit and loss to you. The first thing that we'll take here is what? The sales. Right, so what are the sales which are there? One second. Okay, so how do we calculate the sales? Very simple. The number of units are given to you. The number of units is demand, that is 3 lakhs, 7 lakh 50,000 and 20 lakhs. The selling price is given to you 150, 90 and 50 respectively. So I have taken the sales here. Fine. So this is your sales. 4 crore 50 lakhs, 6 crore 75 lakhs and 10 crore. Total of 21 crore 25 lakhs is your sales. Right? From the sales, we have to subtract all the cost. Material cost, labor cost, packing cost, any other overheads cost, everything, power consumption. All the cost is to be subtracted to calculate the profit. So material W, how do we calculate material W now? Here we have calculated the requirement of material W, isn't it? This is the requirement of material W and the price of material W is given to you that it costs 0.50. So whatever is the requirement, you will multiply it with 0.50. For material C, the requirement in the liters we have calculated dependent upon the demand and the rate is 1000 per liter. So this you will multiply it with 1000. You will get your material cost, right? So this is your material cost. Material W and material C. The requirement as calculated in the working note, that what is the number of liters which will be required multiplied with the rate that is given to you. Clear with this? So material W and material C. Next we have the labor cost. See, for labor cost what we calculated the number of shifts, the total number of shifts which will be there. 900, 1140 and 1200 shifts will be there of 8 hours. What is the rate being paid? For every one shift you are paying 880 rupees. So you will multiply this with 880 rupees to calculate the labor cost. Right? This is the total number of shifts. And this is the 880 total what we are paying for one shift, that is 880 rupees. That will give you the labor cost. That will give you the labor cost, right? So labor cost is like here we will be calculating, that is 900 shifts multiplied by 880 per shift, right? Second is 1140 multiplied by 880. Third one is 1200 shifts multiplied by 880 rupees per shift, that is the payment. Next, power consumption. Power consumption we will calculate. We have calculated the power consumption, total power consumption for processing time and setup time. What is the power cost given? 7 rupees. So multiply it with 7. That's it. 28350 multiplied by 7. 35437.5 multiplied by 7. 37800 multiplied by 7. Here also 810 multiplied by 7. 1012.5 multiplied by 7. 1080 multiplied by 7. You will get what? You will get your power cost. So power cost for processing time and for setup time. Number of kilowatts we have calculated. What is the power consumption we have calculated in the working note? You have to just multiply it with the rate to calculate the cost of power consumption, right? Then packing cost is given 3 rupees for every 1 unit. So multiplied with the number of units we have calculated, right? Packing cost is given, where is packing cost? Per bottle is 3 rupees, right? So here also it will be 20 lakhs multiplied by, it will be 3, wait, it will be 3, right? So that comes to 60 lakh rupees. Other variable cost is given. What is given? Other variable cost says 30,000 per batch. Per batch. The number of batches you have calculated here, 180, 225, 240. So you will multiply this variable cost, 30,000 multiplied by 180, 30,000 multiplied by this, right? So this is what you have to do, right? So you will get your other variable cost also. So total sales minus all the variable cost, you get contribution. From contribution, you get fixed cost. See, the fixed cost is not given per bottle. It is the total fixed cost which is given. So that's why we have taken the total column here. Contribution minus fixed cost, you will get your profit. Is that clear? So this is your statement of profit and loss account. You can pause the video here. You can write down this solution, the complete solution if you want to write down. I've given you all the calculations that how it is being done. So what is the answer for profit? That comes to 2 crore 82 lakh 17,370. That is option C that we will be getting. Is that clear, everyone? Yes, it's a very, very good question. lots and lots of workings are there, but these workings, this might not be asked as such in the examination, but yes, these workings or a part of these workings can be asked in any case study or any question in the examination, so you have to be ready with it. Okay sir, fine. Last part of the question, calculate the EOQ, that is EBQ, economic batch quantity for the small size bottles. For the small size bottles, okay. For EBQ, what we need, what is the annual requirement? For small size bottles, the annual requirement is 20 lakh bottles. Okay, so A will be 20 lakhs, right? Holding cost is given ₹1 per bottle per annum. It is already given to you. Then next what we need is setup cost per batch. We need setup cost per batch. Now, how will you calculate the setup cost? Setup cost means to get the batch ready. There are two types of the cost which is being incurred. One is this cost which is given, variable cost per batch. That is, for every batch you have to incur a cost of 30,000 rupees. So one will be this variable cost. Fine, sir. For this, one will be your variable cost of 30,000 per batch. Variable cost of 30,000. Any other cost do you think that to get the batch ready, any other cost do you think you have to incur? Huh? Any other cost do you think for setting up, setup cost? Think about it. Raw material in setup cost? No, sir. Labor cost in setup cost? No, sir. Power consumption in setup cost? Power consumption in setup cost? Yes, sir. Power consumption is there for every batch. The setup time is 15 minutes and there is a power cost which is being incurred, right? So how to calculate that? See here, we calculated this for small bottles 1080. This is the total power consumption. If I want to calculate this power consumption per batch 1080 divided by 240 batches. So power consumption during the setup time is 4.5 kilowatts. So what is that setup cost I have to incur? I have to incur a setup cost, that is a power cost. How much? 4.5 for every batch, 4.5 kilowatts multiplied by ₹7. So 7 multiplied by 4.5, that comes to 31.5. So this becomes your total setup cost. Now you can calculate EBQ, sir, right? We have done all the things. Now we have to calculate EBQ. So what will be your EBQ now? That will be under root of 2 multiplied by annual requirement of 20 lakhs multiplied by setup cost of 30,000, 31.5 divided by holding cost of ₹1. This you have to calculate now. So the answer that you will get is 3,46,592 liters, right? If you want to check, you can check, sir. 31.5 under root of it. Yes, 346,592. So this is the answer that you will be getting. So this is the point where you have to be careful. Setup cost per batch. That means to get the batch ready. What is the cost that you have to incur for every batch? Clear with this? A very important case study. Now after this case study, I request all of you to please go through this complete case study again. All the workings, go it slowly, that what all we have calculated, where we have started with the demand, where we have started with the batch, why we have started like that, then profit and loss statement, that how the calculations have been done in the profit and loss statement, right? So this is a very, very, very interesting, very important case study. I'm not expecting this case study as such in the examination, but yes, some part of the working can be there in any of the questions. So we cannot say that if the case study cannot be asked, so it is irrelevant for us. Absolutely no. Each and everything is relevant for us because anything from anywhere can be mixed anywhere by the ICAI, right? So this is how the unit and batch costing case study is to be done. In the next video, we'll see the next case study on which chapter, sir? Process costing. We'll see. I think job costing doesn't have a case study, so we'll do it on process costing, right? So see you guys in the next video. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy, keep studying, keep sharing. Thank you so much.